Good afternoon, and welcome to today's live where I'm talking with Nisanka. You may have recognized her from the Love Shack chats that we have on a almost monthly basis. And today we're going to be talking about parental coaching. And before we get into that, I just want to share that when I first met Miss Nisanka, she was more into coaching anxiety. So what I would like to know is what brought on the change and the shift in direction.
Good question, actually. Really, really good question. When I was working with two different reasons, well, it's a collection of reasons, but two things stands out. One, when I was working with anxiety, and when you work with people's anxiety and go to the root cause, it often ends up in the childhood. And that we knew anyway, but it just is every single session, every single time with every single person, you know. And then I did stay away from my business for a while because there was some personal life stuff going on in my life. So I did stay away for about 6, 7 months. And I started writing a book on my own parental journey and my own healing. It really did click. It just felt right. It's like finding the right partner, being in the right place, being with the right people. You just know it. You just know it. And I was in education for 20 years. And when I got into business, every single business mentor I'd ever worked with suggested, why don't you do something like this? And I was like, I don't think I feel ready. I don't think I feel ready. I just needed a break from that life anyway. When you deal with parents on a daily basis, when you deal with teachers, whoever work with children and children themselves on a daily basis, I just wanted to break from it. So I wasn't really thinking, and then it just felt right. And then I started sort of transferring some of the things into my website, and it felt right, and did some posts, and a couple of people mentioned, are you right for parents? And I didn't realize subconsciously, obviously, I was more aiming at the parents. Everything I said was more for the parents. I was like, why not? And actually, not why not. It's like, yeah, it felt right. It's the right thing, and knowledge and everything is just it's just a tip of my tongue. Basically, I've got 3 university degrees in child development and teaching and all of that, and with the coaching and complementary therapy and NLP and everything, it comes with depth and some solid foundation to it. So it felt right.
Beautiful.
I
So
never give short answers.
I never, very rarely give questions that can be answered with a yes or no.
Good. That's the way.
So if I understand correctly, what you're doing now is more working with the parent rather than on how to, shall we say, get better results with their children rather than actually teaching the children anything or teaching them how to be a parent.
Okay. So, so I've developed a framework that is a 6 steps framework. Okay. That's something that, using the knowledge I have about child development, using the knowledge I have about trauma, using the knowledge I have about coaching and, sort of working and building relationship with somebody. In essence, in the core of everything, parenting is a relationship. It's a relationship, right? No amount of knowledge and skills going to get you the connection that you need with children to navigate the difficult times unless you have the healthy relationship, the healthy attachment. For that, what I suggest is that we all must reparent ourselves because we've got far too much conditioning in us that we keep passing on to our children. We've also inherited generational trauma unless you've already started the journey of breaking this generational trauma, you're more likely to end up passing it down to children. And not That's not to say the skills and knowledge don't help, because the skills and knowledge is just at the tip of your finger now. You just Google and the knowledge is there. The gap in it is usually, right? You as a parent, you're the last fish to to know you're swimming in water, or you're the last fish to discover water because you're swimming in it as a parent. So you're the last person to recognize there's so many unhealthy negative patterns repeating in your relationship. So I've got a framework, 6 steps framework. You can go into my website and download the framework. It's on an ebook, a 20-page long ebook with practical activities, so you can actually experience how the framework works. If you don't like it, then I have to work with me again. You can unsubscribe. And if you like it, stick around and you will get my emails every Tuesday morning with a lot of rich information. In essence, this is a relationship. In essence, children are spiritual beings until we put all these negative patterns and conditioning on them and we make them egoistic beings. Okay. And when that happens, that's when children end up not living true to themselves, living somebody else's life. We are either projecting, we are either manufacturing control in their life, we are either projecting our own problems to them, we're either constantly anxious around, their success. We're not giving them enough breathing space for the children to actually be on their own. One example is, one example I can give you is when, say, for example, a child makes a mistake, right? Our initial thought or the pattern would be, oh, I'm the parent, I'm the adult, I've got to correct it, otherwise, what will the world think? Or I will be a bad parent, or you're judging yourself. Actually, give a bit of space. Ask a couple of general, gentle questions, right? And your children will go, oh, yeah, no, I shouldn't have done that, or I'll do it next time this way. They will become critical thinkers, the
Yeah.
reflective thinkers. We've got to give that space, and this space is very, very difficult for parents to give, because they're constantly in that hamster wheel of being the good parent, of being the right adult in their life. The only way you can be the right adult is to first love your children unconditionally, accept them no matter what. Second is to give that space and and gently navigating this relationship and understanding each other. You change as an adult as the time goes. Your children grow up as well as. So every day is a new learning experience.
Yeah.
So when you learn new skills, you can just apply them every day. And at the end of the day, we do screw up, and it's okay. We're human beings, as long as we have the we can take we can hold ourselves accountable, go and apologize. Another long answer.
Kids don't come with instruction manuals, do they?
They do in a way, because they do in a way because they do have a genetic code. They have inherited some behavioral patterns, and through the genetic code and through our energetic field. So they do come with a, they are programmed already when they're
They
born.
do,
So no,
yes.
they
So
are.
us as parents, we're not given that manual. So what
No.
a lot of the time we end up doing is, if we look up to our parents and say they were great parents, we do what they did, just take out the bits we didn't like.
Yeah.
Or if
Yes.
we look up to them and say, I hated what they did, I'm going to
Yes.
do the absolute polar opposite of that.
Opposite. Exactly.
But neither way really, there's no guarantee either is best for the child. You have to
No.
really listen to the children, really.
Absolutely. And I mean, my framework is all about being a conscious parent. So it's about becoming aware of your patterns, the unhelpful patterns, understanding your parenting style. And like you said, if you had very dominant parents, it's either you become that dominant parent because you think that's the right way and so conditioned to believe that's the right way, or you end up becoming a permissive parent, which completely goes the other way around, allowing children. So neither way, none of these ways are healthy ways, you know. And then what one of the recommended or what we consider as a healthy parenting style is authoritative parents, not authoritarian, but authoritative parents, which means you come together, make agreements, you communicate, you agree on things, you understand each other, you encourage the child, allow children, even within this parenting style. There's so many space for us to project our anxiety
Yeah.
and get trapped in unhelpful behavioral patterns. And that's why I think sometimes we go into thinking, me, for example, you know, I knew about child development, I knew about these methods, the behavior managers, you name it. I was like, but until I took responsibility to heal myself and basically reparent myself, you know, I'd easily considered myself as a authoritative, very nurturing parent. But I also realized in the healing journey how many mistakes, how many negative patterns that I've been stuck in, you know, and and then I broke some of them, and I still probably have some of them. But that's why conscious parenting is so important. So you're constantly conscious about what you're doing, recognize them, you break them, and you're willing to make that change in your life. And that way, you just don't have to really worry about, you know, children connecting with their peers more than you know, in this sort of evolving world, a complex world. It's so important that we have that healthy relationship with our children, so they come home and they tell us everything, literally, I mean everything, everything, if they choose
Yeah.
to. And we can't force them to say us, you know, but we've got to have the relationship so that they come home and tell us
Yeah.
pretty much everything, you
Because
know.
one of the ways I look at it with my own kids is
Yeah.
that when they become teenagers, there are things that I'm going to want them to tell me. They've got to feel safe to tell me. And that for me is a result of what goes in the early years. Because if they tell me something when they were little and I go, ah,
Yeah.
and when they tell me stuff later on in years that's possibly even more uncomfortable, they're less likely to want to share it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Gabriel Marte, one of the pioneering figures in promoting that positive, healthy attachment on early stages, and is also a pioneering figure in addiction research and work. He's a speaker. What he says basically is, if you get the first 2 years right, just you can relax. And we all think when the children are a bit older, when they're a little bit more verbal, then we can connect with them. But what basically he's saying is, get the first 2 years right, and then you will relax. And this is not to say that if you have made mistakes and, you know, if you haven't had that right connection with your children first, like for example, postpartum, you know, depression, and it's just, life happens to all of us, right? We're humans, so life happens to us. And I myself, for example, didn't have that right connection with my daughter when she was born for about the first 4 years. It was difficult because I was severely depressed and I had so many things going on. But we have this incredible ability to heal within ourselves, within the body. And if you choose to change right now, right? Make a decision right now, and from tomorrow onward, or from now onward, your life will improve day by day. Improve your relationship with your children, improve, and vital that we understand we respect our relationship with ourselves a lot more, and your relationship with your children is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. And this does not at all mean to convey that you are to be blamed. It's not. So it should not be taken in that context at all. This is to say that there's so many things that we consider part of our identity is just a pattern of behavior we have learned just to survive the childhoods that we've had. So, yeah, if you have a very turmoil relationship with your children, that is a reflection that you have a very turmoil relationship with yourself. Your inner world is in turmoil. And I can give you so many examples, case studies of people that I work with, and including myself, how much healing impacts this journey. And I just want to add one more thing. Often, when people listen to, and this is something that actually seems to be happening, I've been noticing it more and more. People often feel really inspired by other people's healing journeys, right? And then 30 seconds later, that inspiration is gone, right? And then you just withdraw back into yourself and just the general normal patterns that you've always been doing. So there's a big difference between inspired feelings and inspired actions. Inspired feelings, if you put it into action, you take actions, you make a decision, then it turns into inspired actions, and then you'll begin a journey of healing. Inspired feelings, if you let it flee, um, then you'll just be trapped like the hamster in a wheel, and
Yeah.
you'll still be swimming in the water without having discovered the water.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit like we have a whole array of DVDs in our mind of how things are programmed and what's going on. Oh, that's the DVD I want there. And as you say, getting inspired is one thing, but unless you change that DVD, upgrade it, whatever it takes,
Yeah.
you're just going to get the same old movie.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a broken record. It's
Yeah,
been played over and over and over again. And you know, can I think I want to point out that healing, whenever I use the word healing, some people say, oh, it's a big thing, it's a big word. Actually, from a practical point of view, as a person who's healed from quite a lot of significant amount of trauma, big and little, I can tell you, it just everyday little steps, everyday actions, everyday thought, one little step at a time. Healing may sound big and philosophical and all dramatic, Actually, it's just tiny little inspired actions every day that you gift yourself every day. Just gift yourself that every day. 5, 10 minutes. And of course, you need professional help to get into the DVD, unravel the DVD, you know, find out where the broken parts are, and then fix it. Fixing the DVD doesn't mean fixing you. None of you are broken. We've all had experiences. Our experiences doesn't mean we're broken. And children learn from us. Children learn from us. They watch us. They are in tune with our energetic field. So you may pretend everything is okay. You'll be like, I'm good. Everything's all right. I'll organize this. Your children will know immediately because they've got that their intuition is a lot stronger
yeah,
than that of adults. So they tune in very well. So I'm sure you know whenever you have a bad day, even if you haven't spoken about it a single word, even if you haven't given out any clues, you think you haven't given up, but you have. Um, and your children will be either clingy, they'll be difficult, they'll fall off, and they'll cry. If you have teenagers, they'll be snappy, and that's something. And that's just because they're tuning in. They're
yeah,
tuning in and they know their main carer is not in tune, it's not in alignment, and they know it. So They want to find out if they're okay and if children are safe with us. So they'll find ways to find that reassurance. What do? We're stressed, we react. And what happens to the relationship? We rupture it. And children walk away with too many negative beliefs about themselves. And this is a very easy pattern to, well, if, when, not if, when you become skilled at it, then it becomes a very natural pattern to
Yeah.
break. It just, beginning might be very difficult, but my daughter and I know we've got into this pattern of immediately recognizing, having a laugh about it, talking about it, break, gone, done, right? We don't allow things to spiral anymore. If it does spiral, it's only because I was away with the fairies on that day, or I was stressed, or I had too much, I was too tired, something like that. I haven't paid enough attention to myself. And that's the only time that will spiral out of control. So, yeah, and break the patterns. We don't have to pass any of our intergenerational trauma to our children. I don't think it's fair. Um, you know, we've got to bring our children up without having to recover from a childhood. Even though we haven't got entire control over what happens, they go to school, they've got friends, and things happen in life. But
We
as
can
long as
control
we have laid a very
ourselves.
strong, yeah, solid foundation, and they will be resilient. That is research. That is basically research in child development, and that's just basically, every single sort of, if you put all the therapeutic modalities into perspective, and all it's like a mosaic art piece of art, and every single modality will tell you the same thing about child development and trauma. You get the first years right, your children will be all right. Every
Yeah.
single aspect.
I think the hardest thing with healing, whatever you're healing from, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it's really is the decision to actually heal
Yeah,
instead of staying stuck in the pain.
yeah, yeah. I agree. It's
So
a decision.
I believe you've got some upcoming calls or something.
Yes, I have. I don't know where to put the links. I've got the links. So basically, if you go onto my website, there's few things that I've actually made available for everybody to download. My website is www.coachingwithnasanka.com. And if you go onto my website and go under free resources, there's an ebook that you can download, and that'll give you the framework, lots of activities, a little bit of theory, a lot of reflective questions for you to take away. And even if you start with that book, it'll make some difference in your life. It's not the answer to everything, but it'll make a big difference in your life. Second resource is to reduce anxiety. There's a tool that you can download to reduce anxiety. It's just a self-regulatory technique. Third is, if you are in a particularly difficult relationship, like a narcissistic relationship or a toxic relationship, I've developed a self care toolkit, because raising children in a relationship like that is double whammy. It's extremely hard because you've
Yes.
got your own trauma, and it's acute and it's ongoing. Plus, you've got the responsibility pretty much on your own to raise children and be responsible for your children. And it's incredibly hard to be in that position, and you need to look
Yeah.
after yourself if you are. So there's a self-care toolkit, and that'll help you look after yourself. It'll give you, again, healing is what will give you peace, but it'll give you something to look forward to help you feel better. So those are three things. I also run parenting Q&A. It's a free coaching call. Any of you can jump in. It's free. every second Tuesday of the month. So 10th of May, we start with the first series. I'll put all the links there in the description and just register yourself. You'll get a Zoom link and first comes, first served. So if you have your question ready, and as soon as we log into Zoom and you put in the chat box, and then it'll be picked, and then I'll answer your question. So come in and do that. And it's a very interactive thing. So I'm not providing any recording because that means you're just going to watch. Fast forward, we all know what we do with recording. You fast forward it, and it's either there sitting in the email, nobody watches. So that's no recording. Just come in, join in, and yeah, we'll just.
So if you want your question answered, be on the call.
Yes, that is basically what I'm trying to say. Thanks.
Beautiful. So is there anything you would like to share finally before I end today's interview? Oh, well,
I do. Go on.
I was just going to say that as we're talking about parenting and things like that, I just wanted to share that on the 12th, next Thursday, is the next Love Shack talk where we're talking about dating as parents.
Ooh.
And a few practical do's and don'ts.
Awesome. Yes, that is. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've got like loads of juicy stories to share.
I've got loads of questions for you that day.
Juicy stories to share, obviously, appropriate for the audience. Last thing, parenting, whether you are a mother or a father, foster carer or guardian, grandparents, looking after children, parenting, that relationship is probably one of the hardest professions that is unpaid in the world.
Absolutely.
When you think about any profession, you train for years to become efficient at it or proficient at it, right? But parenting is not something that we take.
There's
We
no
don't
training.
acquire. There's no training. We don't acquire the skills. So if you make mistakes, it's okay. It's just only because the perception in the world or the social perception is that parenting, just because you give birth, you're naturally a good parent. It doesn't happen that way, and it's never happened that way with anybody, including the professionals themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a relationship with yourself, with a relationship with your child. So please don't stay back feeling embarrassed or ashamed of asking for help or feeling like you will be judged if you come forward with these questions. Now, I am more than happy to share plenty of stories where I screwed up as a parent and what I learned from it. And those are the best moments in our lives where you screw up and you go, oh my God, I made this mistake. This is what I did. This is my pattern. I'm going to break it. And this is how I'm going to change it next time. And so don't hold yourself back and feel ashamed to come forward. No, please do come forward. Um, and I'm sure you're doing a great job. Some of you are doing, or at least most of you are doing a great, fantastic job. And I guarantee there will still be things to learn.
Yeah. So I think every parent, no matter how good or bad or whatever they may be, does the best they can with the knowledge and wisdom and experience they have at the time.
Of course. Of course.
And for anyone who is contemplating being on that call, I would just say this. There is no such thing as a stupid question if you don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's wrap this up and well, I'll see you on Tuesday or on the next Love Shack call on Thursday. Bye
Awesome.
for now.
Bye.